We are on week 7. My Bengals are on a bye week, so a little sad. No action for me this week, but there's plenty of other games to cover. So, Lawrence, I'll let you start first. What is your first pick for this week?
I'm going to go for the first pick this week. It's pretty much a crucial one for the division, for its purposes, for its division. I'm going to go Tampa Bay and the Falcons. I saw an interesting stat line that made me a little, not a little less suicidal during my injuries. However, it was the Carolina Panthers had the most points in the division. So they've scored more points than the rest of the division. Atlanta has scored the least, Tampa Bay with the second most, or third most, and then the New Orleans Saints with the third most points in the division. Now, that being said, so you got two of the worst scoring teams in the division, the Falcons and the Tampa Bay, facing off for basically number one seed. Because let's just face it, New Orleans, we have no idea what we're going to get to them week to week, and that's been kind of like basically what it's been for the last couple of years since Drew Brees left, or the last year of Drew Brees. So you just kind of don't know what Saints team you're going to get week to week. You don't know if you're going to get the good one or the bad one. But Tampa Bay seems, before that bye week, they looked really good. They didn't look amazing, but they didn't look bad. And then coming off that bye week, they just looked amazingly flat and horrible. So I just kind of want to give it the benefit of the doubt that it was just the bye week. Everyone got too relaxed. Everyone just got unfocused for a little bit. But, you got to be looking at this Atlanta Falcons game like, we have to win this one. The Falcons, all they can do is run the ball. We've seen it progressively get better in terms of the pass game, but in reality, their pass game really is only getting active because their running game is people are focusing on the running game. Well, Tampa Bay doesn't really need to. They do a really good job at stopping the run with just their 7 in the box. So I guess it's going to be kind of one of those games where can Tampa Bay 7 in the box find a way to keep at bay Bijan and Tyler Algier. Another thing I've noticed from the Falcons is they don't go to Algier as much as they should anymore. They just kind of try to lean way too much on Bijan. And if I need a forceful, impactful run up the middle, I'm just still kind of on the wing here saying that I think I'd kind of rather have Algier take it up the middle or up the gut kind of move. He just seems to run the ball harder. Bijan, I'm not going to say anything outside of that. Bijan looks amazing. But Bijan looks amazing in the passing game and running to the outside or running in between the guard and the tackle. But other than that, I think I'd rather have Algier go up the middle. But they keep trying to put Bijan up the middle. It doesn't make any sense. Let Algier do those kind of runs, especially since at this point you do believe him to be expendable. So pound him up there in the middle.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. No deviation for me. My first pick for this week, guys, I'm going to go with another 1 o'clock window game. We're going to go with 2 division, leaders at this point in time. Detroit and Baltimore, I believe we're playing at M&T Bank, so we're going to be in Baltimore. This is a crucial game for both teams. I feel like, both teams top of the divisions, I guess you can have them in the conversation for powerhouses of their respective conferences. So this is like a test for both of them in terms of where they match up. Are their first couple wins kind of fluky, or okay, when you really run into some top competition, are you going to play and ball out? So I think for the Lions, to start with them, for the Lions, their passing game, just the offense in general, has been really, really good. Very fluid. Montgomery, I think, is questionable for this week. So we'll see if he suits up. And then for the Ravens, they still dealing with injuries on their side of the ball. And plus their secondary, will their secondary be able to keep up with the Lions passing attack? That's a great question, and we'll see on Sunday. As you see the matchup predictor, surprisingly, it's at home, so no surprise here that the Ravens have about 54% of the vote. and then the Lions are coming at about 46. To me, it's a toss-up game. Right now, the line is leaning towards Baltimore with 3 points. So I guess if it was a neutral field, it would be a pick 'em. So um, I'm leaning towards the Lions. They've just been going on the roll. Dan Campbell's one hell of a coach. Jared Goff is playing out of his mind. And I think for the Ravens to win this game, they will need a very good game from Lamar, and then he needs his receivers to step up because they just have not been producing as of late. You can't just keep relying on Zay Flowers, a rookie, and Mark Andrews. They definitely need contributions from the other guys like Bateman, OBJ, and I think, do they have Algalore? I think they might. I don't know, but they need contributions from the other guys on the receiving court, or else it's just, in terms of running backs, it's just Lamar and Hill, and he's iffy. So it's just like, unless you have an outstanding game from Lamar, the receivers need to pick it up. So I'm going to pick the Lions in this one.
Yeah, the only receiver that picked it up last week for him was Zay Flowers, and I have him in fantasy, and I finally I started him for 2 weeks. He consistently got like 10 to 12 points week to week, and last week was the first time he finally got a touchdown. So, I just had to be unfortunate the first time I decided to move away from him. That decided to have a nice game, and we live. I guess the best way to put it. So.
This is true. What's your second game that we should keep our eyes on this week?
Well, the second game to keep the eyes on is I think probably the biggest one this weekend. And I think that's going to be Miami and Philly. I don't know if you were probably going to go that one too, because, that's just kind of what draws my eye. Because at this point, Miami has to beat a good team, and Philly has to go without losing to another team. Philly needs to, reestablish itself. But Philly has a lot of freaking injuries on that defense. And Philly basically right now is kind of begging for a bye week. At this point, that's how I feel looking at the Phillies. They're just begging for a bye week.
They need one bad.
Because they're just beat up on defense, which should play in Miami's hand. They love to take advantage of defenses, but their defense can be very, very hit or miss sometimes as well. So that's kind of their kryptonite. But Miami's stat line, if you look at it, Miami hasn't beaten a good team yet. Now, they've beaten the crap out of teams, and they've scored a lot of points in every game. But Miami still hasn't beaten a legitimate good team. And the few teams they have beaten, the few teams they've lost to, well, let's just say the Buffalo Bills. That was humbling. They didn't look. They looked pretty awful.
Yeah, stomped them
against the Giants, and Buffalo stomped them. And so Miami's got to be thinking to themselves, this is a game that we can't lose. We have to win. We haven't beaten anyone. We've beaten Broncos. We've beaten the Patriots. We've beaten the Chargers. The only team on this list they've beaten so far that's any value is the Chargers. I guess you could say Patriots because of the way they did it, but the Patriots' offense looks really horrible. And we all thought the Patriots were kind of good, and now we realize they're not. So the only decent team they've beaten is the Chargers, and to be honest with you, we don't even know what the heck the Chargers are doing. The only thing we think the Chargers should be doing is firing their coach. But, yeah, if you're looking at the Dolphins, this is the week that you got to literally, I want to say put your foot in the ground, basically help claim your stake in the AFC East, because you're going to need it, because you already are one game down against the Bills. Bills are playing New England in New England, so there's a good chance New England loses, even at home. So
yeah,
you got to stay with the Bills. I know the Bills, they haven't looked amazing either, but I want to stay with them. I know they lost twice, but hey, they lost in London. So, and the Bills are going to come upon an easy stretch of, they're going to play the Patriots, they're going to play the Buccaneers, then they're going to play the Bengals. Well, it's going to be a tough one, but then they immediately get an easy one against the Broncos. So they really need to stay pat with the Bills as of right now.
Yeah, I would agree 100% with everything you said. This will be definitely a test for them. If it's just they can only beat sorry teams, then they're pretenders. If they can actually compete and win, hey, we got actually treat them as, with some respect. So I was thinking about choosing that game, but I think I'm gonna go with probably the second most explosive game. I would say the Chargers in Kansas City. 425. I think we're at Arrowhead. It's a division game, and the Chargers and Chiefs have always had good games. I feel like this will be explosive in terms of offense, even though the Chiefs do have arguably a top 10 defense. They re-signed Chris Jones, and their defense is always just pretty good, but they're definitely the best they've been in this little, I wouldn't call it dynasty, but the little championship runs that they've had the past couple of years. Right now the line is at 5.5 for KC. They're at Arrowhead, and as you can see, about 68.5% favor the Chiefs in this one. And I guess breaking news today that the Chiefs traded for Hardman, so he is going back to Kansas City. I think they just swapped late round draft picks. So that gives homeboy another familiar target, because his receivers have been wishy-washy besides Travis Kelce, and he's banged up, and so he's just kind of slugging along, and they're kind of in the same situation where they kind of need a bye week so he can kind of nurse his I think it's his ankle, right, or his knee or whatever that he hurt like the first week. So they definitely need a bye week as well, but they've been on a roll. Beat Denver last week, kind of like a little shit show. And then the Chargers, if you didn't watch Monday Night Football, they lost to Dallas. Arguably, probably should have won that game, but neither here nor there. So I think for the Chargers, they need a win to stay on track. Just in the AFC in general, I think if they go down 2-4, you're looking kind of hard pressed to making the playoffs at that point. So if you can finish week 7 with a 3-3 record, you're feeling pretty good. And then if you're the Chiefs, you're playing at home. You don't want to lose at home, especially to a division rival. Just gonna put you back in the division. And then if this Kelce injury just lingers throughout the season, and if he needs to miss more games, you already saw how that looked. It didn't look too pretty. So you probably want to keep your division record looking pretty good there. So I will probably take the Chiefs. The Chargers just don't look well. Their head coach is just not a good head coach, and I don't think Kellen Moore can save this team in terms of offense, because the offense is up and down. And Herbert with his hand, I don't know. He's just not playing like normal. I think it's really bothering him. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Chiefs in this one, but it should be explosive in terms of offenses. Really quickly, Lawrence, we have about a couple minutes before the draft starts. Do you have an honorable mention for this week?
Oh, my honorable mention is Bills and Patriots. Remember earlier when I was talking about in the season, I talked about Malik Cunningham getting some action. There's a good chance Malik Cunningham's coming out to play. I'm just saying.
Okay, I feel that. I feel any change with that team, because they definitely need it. Really quickly, my honorable mention. I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh and the Rams. I feel like both teams definitely could use a win. More so the Rams, because I feel like Pittsburgh at this point, I feel like they're pretenders. Their defense is really stout, but the offense just has too many troubles and issues. So if they lose, they were sleepers to begin with. But I think LA definitely has a chance to make the playoffs, especially with how the NFC is looking right now. So I think a win for them will go a longer way than Pittsburgh. But that is all for our picks. Hello there, and welcome to the MTL Sports Podcast. Thank you for watching this video clip of one of our most recent episodes. Please drop a like, drop a comment in the comment section below, and also please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and also hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with the most recent MTL Sports Podcast content. For those that don't know, we are also available on Spotify for those who listen audio only. once again, thank you so much. And this is the MTL Sports Podcast.
You whip up my appetite.